Good evening. You're now with me, Lorenzo Isaac, for TVS Nightline. Here are the headlines for tonight. New details in the inquest into the death of Zara Kairina Mahathir. A doctor testifies there were no visible signs of abuse on her body, but reveals she may have suffered severe brain injuries and internal bleeding. In world news, French authorities are mobilizing 80,000 police officers ahead of a planned nationwide protest called Block Everything, a movement aimed at shutting down routes, transport hubs, and public services, with authorities warning of possible violence and widespread disruption. Breaking news. Israel launched missile strikes in Qatar's capital, Doha, moments ago on claims that it is targeting Hamas leadership and senior officials. The attack came as a surprise to Qatar amid ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas, and also home base to the region's largest U.S. military base, the Al Udeid Air Base.
On Israel's account, it said that it took precaution to lessen impact with precise munition. However, this is another smokescreen the Zionist regime put out, as the site of the attack was close to residential buildings and people's homes, as well as multiple embassies. Qatar authorities condemned the attack, calling it a cowardly attack, putting civilian lives at risk. Iran also called out Israel's violation to international law and to Qatar's national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Whether the U.S., an undisputed ally to Israel, gave a green light to the attack is still under scrutiny. However, according to a source that reported to Al Jazeera, stated that the U.S. was not aware of the attack and was only notified after. Several Israel figures celebrated the strike, including its finance minister Bezalel Smotrich and opposition leader Yair Lapid, while Benjamin Netanyahu's office stated that it will quote-unquote take full responsibility of the attack. In the past months, Israel has attacked 6 Arab countries, including Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria, among others, on the same basis.
The French government's growing concern over the upcoming Block Everything protests has led to the deployment of 80,000 police personnel. Its Interior Minister, Bruno Retailleau, said the number of protesters could go up to 100,000 people and will be concentrated at areas such as airports, train stations, and highways with blockades or acts of sabotage.
Effort de mobilisation, bien sûr, vous venez de le dire, c'est parce que nous aurons affaire à des individus, à des groupuscules organisés qui sont très violents. Mais c'est aussi parce que le mouvement est disséminé. Et c'est très très difficile. Lorsque vous avez des événements, il est en général concentré géographiquement, tandis que là, c'est la dissémination qui nous oblige à avoir énormément d'effectifs pour pouvoir...
The soon-to-resign minister also announced the establishment of an inter-ministerial crisis unit in the coming hours. Block Everything emerged online in May among right-wing groups, researchers and officials, but has since been taken over by the left and far left. Authorities said its lack of centralized leadership and ad hoc organization via social media and Telegram makes it difficult to gauge how disruptive the protest will be on Wednesday. Block Everything aims to shut down the country, including roads and public transport, and calls on citizens to stop working and consuming as an act of defiance against the way the country is being run. The movement reached its peak in mid-July when outgoing Prime Minister François Bayrou announced a 43.8 billion euros cut to the national budget and the abolition of 2 public holidays.
Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has officially resigned today, a day after widespread protests turned deadly, leaving at least 19 people dead. The unrest was sparked by public outrage over a temporary ban on social media as well as the long-standing grievance about corruption.
Despite the government restoring access to social media platforms, demonstrations continued into Tuesday. Protesters reportedly set fire to Oli's residence as tensions escalated across Kathmandu and beyond. Authorities imposed a curfew, but large groups of protesters defied the order, resulting in widespread street clashes. Multiple incidents of arson and attacks on government buildings and politicians' properties were reported by local media and witnesses. Oli, 73 years old, had been serving his fourth term as prime minister, having led a coalition government formed between his Communist Party and the center-left Nepali Congress. His resignation came after 3 other ministers also stepped down in the wake of the violence and growing public pressure. The initial trigger for the unrest was the social media blackout, which particularly angered younger citizens. The move intensified existing frustrations over government inaction and economic challenges. Although the ban was later lifted, demonstrations continued, driven largely by Gen Z protesters.
Defense whether she came across any barcode injuries on ZARA'S body, she declined, stating that she and her team performed quick examinations of the hands and arms. They took note of a deformity on ZARA'S left hand that was placed in a splint. Moreover, Dr. Vu said their priority was identifying life-threatening injuries to ensure she survives, which unfortunately did not happen. In response to another question, Dr. Vu said she was unsure what happened to the deceased's clothing after it was removed, as usually the patient's belongings are handled by nurses and paramedics. When asked whether the deceased was wearing a tudong upon arrival at the emergency department, she said no tudong because the wound on ZARA'S back had already been bandaged, so I can't remember if she was wearing one or not. Earlier, Dr. Vu told the court that she was the first doctor who examined Zara Khairina on July 16th, after the girl was brought to the department by an assistant medical officer and an ambulance team in an unconscious state, but the mechanism of injury was not known at the time.
In California, a family has taken ChatGPT creator OpenAI to court, accusing the AI chatbot of pushing their 16-year-old son to take his own life. While the case is still in court, it raises a bigger question. Just how much can we trust AI, especially when kids and teens are the most vulnerable? To break it down, TVS spoke with counseling psychologist Sean Chris Nanang, who sheds light on the risks behind teens' relationship with AI and what must be done to keep users safe.
If a teenager relies too much on AI, they may avoid real relationships and miss out on the human connections that is essential for healthy development. So while AI can be a useful tool like a first step in expressing emotion, it should never replace genuine human support from family, friends, or professionals.
He says teens are especially at risk as they are more likely to form deep attachments to chatbots at this stage of life. And the bigger danger, he warns, comes when AI feeds negative thoughts instead of steering them toward healthier ones.
Imagine a teenager who says, "I feel hopeless." If the AI responds in a way that unintentionally reinforces that belief, rather than challenging it, the risk is that the hopelessness deepens. Instead of offering a way out, the technology may end up amplifying despair.
To keep things from spiraling, Sean Chris says both AI developers and parents need to step up with crucial safeguards.
Just as we put seatbelts in cars before letting children ride in them, we need safeguards in AI. Ways to check age, detect when someone is in distress, and limits that reminds us to step away when it becomes too much. So in simple terms, detect crisis early, protect adolescents from unsafe content, limit overuse, involve parents in a supportive way, and always design with mental health in mind.
Sean Chris is warning parents and teachers to watch for the red flags. Teenagers isolating from family, staying up late glued to chatbots, or lashing out when your devices are taken away. In his message is clear: no technology can replace the power of real human connection. As AI becomes part of daily life, he says the responsibility isn't just on developers and regulators, but also on families and communities to ensure the technology strengthens the next generation, not tears it apart. Sarawak's energy transition policy, Sept, is projected to pump up 550 billion ringgit in cumulative GDP and create 80,000 jobs by 2050. Premier Abang Johari says the framework to decarbonize the state's energy system stands on 7 pillars and could draw as much as 700 billion ringgit. That's 165 billion US dollars in investment.
SATP is built upon 7 strategic pillars, as seen here. The comprehensive framework is expected to generate 550 billion Malaysian ringgit, equivalent to about USD 130 billion in cumulative GDP, creating 80,000 new jobs and attract up to 700 billion, equivalent to about $165 billion in investment.
In his keynote address at the International Forum for Pumped Storage Hydropower in Paris today, Abang Johari emphasized that inclusivity remains central to Sarawak's energy transition agenda.
Importantly, more than 75% of income gains will benefit low and middle income groups, ensuring that our transition is equitable and inclusive.
Abang Johari adds that the state's vision for a sustainable energy future is not only about economic growth, but also about building a balanced and resilient society.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms at TV Sarawak. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Lorenzo Isaac. Thank you for watching and have a good night.